We're going to build out an AluCab contour canopy. We're going to show you how to install each of these products so that you can do it yourself. So let's get started. All right, so I'm here with Julia today. Julia is part of our sales team here at OK, and Julia brought in her Tacoma with a contour canopy and a 3R tent. So Julia, would you mind showing us around a little bit?
Sure. So far in my truck, I have a makeshift drawer system. And then on top of that, I have the AluCab fridge slide and my ARB fridge. I use this to go on some weekend trips and camping and things like that. So I just wanted it for some storage and to be able to bring some food and drinks with me. And I'm looking to add some more accessories so I can utilize it more.
So we're going to show you how to install 3 different style cubbies into your contour canopy. We're going to start with this 1250 cupboard. This is a blank cupboard that you can really fill with anything you want. If it's recovery gear, camping gear, it just applies for your work if that's what you're into. We're going to take this over to the truck and start getting it installed. All right, so these are the brackets that we're going to use to install the cupboard. I'm going to show you where they go on the contour. They're going to go right in this track here on the top of the contour, and we have 4 of these, so we're going to bolt these along the rail of the contour canopy and get the cupboard installed. All right, so I got all of these brackets loosely in place. My next step is I'm going to bring in the cupboard and actually set it here, and then I can line up the holes from the cupboard to these brackets, and then I can start throwing bolts through the cupboard into these brackets and start to tighten everything up. I'm playing with the top plate. This thing has a ton of adjustment in it. So right now I'm just kind of getting a general idea of where this is going to go, because once we bring the cubby in, there's going to be a lot of cubby trying to fall over. So we're going to get this in place first, and then we'll attach it to the cubby, and then we'll finish with the bottom bolts. All right, so we have a washer for every nut and bolt, so just make sure you use all the supplied hardware. All right, we're just getting these top bolts situated. So now we're just attaching it here loosely. The 4 lower carriage bolts installed. There's a ton of adjustment in there to work with the brackets that install the contour. So now we're just gonna go through and tighten everything up. So I'm gonna tighten up these brackets first, then I'm gonna tighten the carriage bolt that's in the bottom of the cupboard, and then we'll tighten the top. Now you have all this storage that you just gained with the AluCab cupboard here. Everything's stored nice and dry and super easy to access. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so next on the list we have AluCab's Camp Kitchen. This is a 1450 cupboard with everything you need already installed on it. This is gonna come with pots, pans, spatulas. It also has a drop-down table. You'll see that in the video as well, but this one is attached to the Camp Kitchen, so let's get it installed. The bolts installed up top, those are for the top plate that are gonna hold the Camp Kitchen in place. Now we're gonna install the brackets that are gonna go into the track of the contour. All right, so we got these guys loosely in place. I'm gonna tighten them up a little bit. We don't know exactly where this is gonna land yet, so you don't want these tight and set in place. This is a little bit of a 2-man job. You can tell it's a little awkward at first because there's just so much weight to hold by yourself. From here, we can tighten all the bolts down and get the kitchen put back together. There's a whole bunch of stuff that comes with the Camp Kitchen. We're gonna start getting all these pots and pans put back into place and show you what it all looks like. Let me show you how this table works. We're gonna pull this tab right here. So that's number 1, this is number 2. This guy's gonna come in like this. Table's gonna drop. This also has a convenient cutting board in it as well. And you can see there's even more storage behind there too. So we're gonna get all this stuff put away. All right, there you have it. This is the Camp Kitchen. This is a whole cupboard full of all the accessories you need for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Let's move on to the next accessory. All right, so we're starting off with our table and table slide from AluCab. This size table, without needing to build it or store it anywhere, is probably my favorite AluCab product. The fact that you have a table this size and can fit basically 4 people for dinner and have a giant work surface and all in a spot that you never use, this is my favorite product. We're gonna use the existing tracks that are on the top of the contour here. After we get the brackets up loose, we're gonna put the table in it, and then we can tighten them down so then we know that we have the table where we want it and that the brackets are the right width apart. The way that these work is they're gonna go just like this into the roof of the truck, loose enough that the table can slide in and out, but not so loose that the thing comes flying when you hit the brake. All right, so what we got here is we have our Allen, followed by a lock washer, then a regular washer. What I'm gonna do to make my life a little easier is because I have to put this nut in this track here, but to fish it through with just my fingers give you a pain in the butt. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna thread it onto this setup. So then I at least have something to hold while sending it through the track. All right, so when you're mounting this table and the table brackets, you're gonna have to take into consideration like the fridge and how it's gonna clear the back of the contour. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the furthest back 2 tracks, so the closest to the cab, to mount the brackets. We're gonna slide this one over to the right. So this will be the right side bracket, and then I'll slide another one off to the left for the left side. All right, so here's the tip. The powder can be a little thick in here, so if you take your 13 mil wrench and you put it in the track, you can kind of push the bolt along the way here. So like right now you can see it's kind of hanging up on some powder. So you just kind of push through that and free it up. All right, so I got the first bracket in here. You can see I have it super loose. That way we can adjust it wherever we need to, if we have to move around the fridge or if we just want to find the right location for the table. But yeah, first one's up. We're gonna move over to the driver's side and get that bracket into place and then get the table up here. So the Alucab table is a super simple design. It has gas struts that help with the opening. It also helps keep it closed because once the legs are kind of locked with each other, it kind of stays where you need it. But to open it, you just pop it. Gas struts. You don't have to worry about anybody kicking out a leg and then you're losing all your dinner or anything like that. Just super easy, super stout struts. And there you go. All right, so you can see right now the brackets are a little too narrow. So I'm just gonna rest the table on top of my fridge here. So right now I'm just moving the brackets out a little bit. They're a little too narrow, so I'm just gonna pull this guy out as well. This guy's gotta come out a bunch. So we got the table exactly where we want it. Now I'm just gonna remove the table carefully. I'll snug up the brackets, and once we get those brackets in place, we'll start putting the latch that kind of keeps the table in place up front. Brackets are in place exactly where we want them. They're tightened up. I'm gonna slide the table in, get it all the way to the back of the contour. That way we can start putting the latch for the front. All right, so we're gonna line these guys up with our two nuts that are in the track above. We're gonna leave it loose again, and then we'll put the table in place. So the bracket's up. I'm just gonna go through and snug these guys up, then we'll slide the table in and we can move on to the next project. So next on the list, we're gonna do Alucab's 2-chair carrier and recovery grid. The way this works is you're gonna fit 2 front runner chairs behind this grid, and then you can use this as kind of like a molly panel to attach all your recovery equipment to it. There's a ton of adjustment for fore and aft to get this bracket to fit exactly where you need to in your contour. So we're gonna bring it over to the truck and start getting it installed. All right, so with the kit, you're gonna get supplied 2 long brackets, 2 short brackets. We're gonna take these brackets, they're gonna go into the rail of the contour canopy, kind of how you see the mounting brackets to attach it to the truck. We're gonna bolt the cubby to the tracks in the ceiling that you see here. And then we're gonna fine tune it and get exactly where we want it. We're getting these brackets loosely in place. We have a general idea of where they're gonna go. All right, then you're gonna take 1 bolt and then we're gonna put one of these in the track in the front and in the rear for the upper brackets. You can see we have a bolt here and a bolt here. That's for these brackets right here. You also have 3 spots where it can go in, so we have some adjustment there. So I got my knee underneath it to hold it in place. So we got the brackets and the contour snug in place exactly where we want them. Now we can kind of bring up this lower bracket and then we'll go through and tighten up both the bolts that are on the base here and then the bolts that are on the back. Once we get these guys tight, then we're gonna adjust the base of the cupboard to the height that we need, which is gonna be right about there. All right, yeah, so you can see we got our front runner chair stored behind. That leaves this nice little cubby space in front open for recovery gear, whatever else you'd like. To get them out, you just pull this elastic just like that. You also have this grid here that you can use kind of with mollies. So you can attach a first aid kit here if you'd like. And yeah, it's just like a nice compact way to store a bunch of camp gear. All right, so next on the list, we have Alucab's drop-down table. So the way that this guy works is this is gonna bolt onto the side door of the contour. So if you come over to the truck, I'll show you. It's actually gonna bolt on the inside of the contour here, and then we're actually gonna pull a lever and the thing's gonna drop out. So to start, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the brackets that are gonna bolt to the contour. We're gonna actually put those on the table first. That way we have these in the right place. And then when we bring it over to the truck, we just have to attach everything at once. I got my brackets loosely bolted on here. I also have the bolts already in the track in the back of the contour. So the big brackets that attach to the contour in place and bolted down. Now we're just tightening the table to those brackets. We want it in far enough that it clears the door, but we want to make sure that it comes out of the truck nice. All right, here we go. We're gonna get this guy deployed. So you can see this first tab, it actually has a number 1 on it. So you're gonna pull this guy. That's gonna release the table. Second tab, number 2. This guy's gonna come down, drop the table. Then you just one more fold and you have your whole work surface. And if you wanna extend your work surface, you have a nice cutting board that comes out of here. And if you want to do a little bit of fine adjustments, you can come over here and really dial this in to get a really nice level flat surface. But this is a great table if you're out for a tailgate, if you're camping, or if you want to work remote. You can just kind of jump on your laptop and work on the table right out here. And it's so simple to put away. You just slide in your cutting board, flip it up, and here you go. And then back on the road. Simple as that. And the brackets have a ton of adjustments. So you can see that we can actually clear our whole fridge. So we have our nice fridge. The gap is really close. It's nice to have that adjustment to make sure that we can keep our fridge, because the last thing you want to do is add a modification like a table, and then you lose your fridge, which is key to camping. So really nice addition to the Contour. All right, so the truck is ready to go. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave them down below, and we'll see you on the next one.